Hey friends, another week in the books, so it's time for another coffee and a movie with Irene. Today we're going to be talking about an 86 classic comedy coming-of-age film, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. You've probably already seen it. If you haven't, you should watch it. If you have seen it, you should watch it again. Let's talk about it. I changed up the blanket behind me. You may ask, why, Irene? Do you have a blanket on the couch behind you? And the answer is, when I'm editing this footage, I really like for the first 5 minutes to be just my butt while I fix the blanket behind me that's inevitably fallen down. So that's why. So, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. You probably know most of the actors in this film: Matthew Broderick, Alan Ruck, Mia Peterson, Jennifer Grey. There's also like Charlie Sheen makes an appearance. The premise of the film is simply a high school boy who's skipping school, essentially. But there is a deeper subplot in this film of Ferris trying to make his best friend Cameron kind of come into his own, which is the much more rewarding part of this film, I think. Also, this was written and directed by John Hughes. Obviously, he did The Breakfast Club, Pretty in Pink, 16 Candles, that kind of stuff. But so, like in other John Hughes films, there's a principal or a person of authority who is just awful. This movie happens to have one. Turns out the actor who played the principal is a bad person, so I'm not really going to talk about him much. However, the principal's secretary, Grace, is played by Edie McClurg, who is a super talented character actress. She was actually in Back to School, a movie I talked about a few weeks ago. Here's her talking about Ferris Bueller and how he's viewed by the students.
Oh, well, he's very popular, Ed. The sportos, the motorheads, geeks, sluts, bloods, wastoids, dweebies, dickheads, they all adore him. They think he's a righteous dude.
I actually saw this movie for the first time as an adult in the last 10 years. I would say it probably hits a little differently as an adult. If you're younger and watching this film, you probably really like Ferris Bueller. But I would say arguably the most relatable character is either Ferris Bueller's sister Jeannie.
Hi, Jeannie. Shut up.
Or his best friend Cameron.
When Cameron was in Egypt's land, let my Cameron go.
I personally relate hardcore to Cameron. I basically was him in high school, except, a woman and poor. My senior year of high school, I remember my mom being like, Irene, you've missed 28 days of school this year. And I was like, ooh, that is a lot of days. And then I pretended to be sick because I didn't want to be there because I was so anxious. And Ferris is this character who just seems to kind of skim through life, gets away with anything. But also throughout the movie, you can tell that Ferris brings a lot of joy to the people around him, just with his joie de vivre, It's kind of infectious, and that's something that really helps lift Cameron up. So on the outside, this movie is just kind of like a fun romp where they're going through the city and they're in a parade, or suddenly they're sneaking into a restaurant or whatever. But underneath that, it's really a story about one friend saving another friend. Also, if you haven't seen this movie, you should definitely watch it for all the iconic moments throughout it.
Bueller.
But I personally love the scene where they go to the Art Institute of Chicago and they look at all this art. There are so many shots that are just so perfect. What I really like is this one. It's such a perfect visual representation of how they're in between childhood and adulthood, where they're really clinging to those last little bits of childhood before they have to leave high school and go on to college and become stupid adults. Another shot I really like is when Cameron is looking at this painting. So it's actually a famous pointillist painting. I mean, I'm sure you all know, but let me just talk about it. Pointillism is made up of a lot of dots, right? So when you're far away, looking at it makes sense, but the closer you get to it, the less the image makes sense, the more obscure it becomes. And so it's like Cameron's looking at it closer and closer, and you're looking at Cameron closer and closer, and you see this fear in his eyes, like as if he's thinking, the closer you get to me, do I become nothing? Do I not have a personality or a form of my own the closer you get to me? And that's tough. I think a lot of teenagers go through that because honestly, when you're a teenager, you don't have much of a personality yet, right? You haven't gone through a whole lot. I mean, obviously some teenagers go through more than others, but you haven't experienced the world yet. You don't have a viewpoint of your own. All you know is this small little world that you're involved in. What a big thing for just a fun teenage movie to tackle without like explicitly saying it. This transition from childhood to adulthood and becoming who you're supposed to become. I love it. I love that scene in the museum. It is definitely my favorite part of the movie, hands down. I like it more than them in the parade or them at the stadium. That part really has always spoken to me. Also, I think we could have known what Charlie Sheen was going to be like as an adult simply by this scene.
Drugs?
Thank you. No, I'm straight.
I meant, are you in here for drugs?
Why are you here?
Drugs.
Anyway, that's what I got for Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Drink coffee to keep the demons away or let them in. Really, coffee does inspire the anxiety demons to just run amok right here. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a great weekend. Bye.